Hi Blackthorns. I'm going to be doing your PSHE lesson. Oh, look at my hair, it looks terrible. Never mind. PSHE we're doing, and it's going to be on coronavirus and the lockdown. Now, this is the 90,000th time I've recorded this video, so hopefully it's going to be perfect this time. We're going to watch a short video from YouTube about the coronavirus, and then I'll talk about it afterwards. Here goes. The coronavirus is so small that you need a special microscope to see it. Corona means crown in Latin, and if you look at it, you can see why. It's round and has little antennas that stick out of it, just like the points of a crown. Viruses are odd. They don't eat and they don't poop. In order to live, they need to attach themselves to people. They travel in through the nose, the mouth, and even through the eyes. And just like that, they're inside of you and you can get sick. Luckily, our body knows how to protect itself. Special cells battle against viruses and try to get rid of them. These cells make up your immune system, and there are many types of coronavirus. They all come from the same family, but this time a new family member has popped up. And that is why our immune system does not know how to get rid of it. And that's why a lot of people are very poorly. Some people just get a little bit sick, like children, for example. But if you don't get sick, it doesn't mean that you don't have the virus. You can carry it around with you, and the virus can jump inside other adults like your parents, your grandparents, or teachers, and that is why they have closed the schools. Since there are no medicines or vaccines, from now, the only way to stop the virus is to stop it from jumping from one person to another. If someone sneezes or coughs, the virus travels through the air in droplets that can stick to door handles. If you touch one and then put your hands near your nose or on your face or rub your eyes, the virus can get in. So rule number 1, which is the golden rule, wash your hands often and well. And then it says about singing happy birthday twice, which you've spoken about before. Also important is when you sneeze into your elbow and no fingers in your nose. Gross. Keep a distance of at least 1 meter from other people. But the thing that works the absolute best is staying at home for at least a while. Like this, the virus will be so bored and won't have anyone to stick to. Hopefully then, it'll go away. Okay, that's the end of the video. Going back on. Okay, so that said in that video, that was obviously recorded last year when there wasn't a vaccine, but obviously we have a vaccine now, so that is really good news. But until everyone gets vaccinated, or until certainly a lot of the older people get vaccinated, and when I say older, I mean the really older and more vulnerable people, or the people that are already sick with other things. Until that happens, then we have to be in what the government call a lockdown. And basically what that means is that we stay in our houses as much as possible and we don't mix with other people that we don't have to. So obviously we have to mix with our parents, and I have to mix with my children. And then obviously we have jobs, as in me, Fiona, Lola and Becca all have jobs, which means that we can't stay at home. We have to come in to teach some children. So staying at home as much as possible, can stop the virus from jumping from person to person. And hopefully that can stop so many people getting so very poorly with it and having all of our hospitals full of people with COVID. Now, we don't really know how long it's going to last, this lockdown. Obviously, this is a lockdown number 3. We've already had 2. We had one back in March last year when you would have been off school, some of you. Then we had another one in October, or was it November? November. Another one back in November for 1 month before Christmas. And now we've got another one. And unfortunately, that means that some of you can't come to school. We only have very few people at school. And that's so that we don't spread the virus around at school and then spread it to our teachers and so on and so forth. So that's the reason why we're not at school. It's a difficult situation and nobody really enjoys it, I don't think. I think there are pros and cons to it. I think there are good points to a lockdown and there are bad points to a lockdown. So what I want you to do with that piece of paper and pencil that I told you need earlier, I'd like you to do something like this. So I want you to write down 5 things that being in the lockdown has taken away from you. It's 5 things that you can't do now that you could do before. And then I want you to write 5 things in the next column, 5 things that you get out of lockdown. So 5 things that you probably wouldn't have been able to do if it wasn't for lockdown. So for instance, if you have swimming lessons normally, being in a lockdown means that you can't have swimming lessons anymore. But one thing that lockdown has given you, maybe you've had more time to read, or you get to spend more time with your family. So pause the video and write those things down. 5 things that are taken away and 5 things that have been given to you by lockdown. Okay, now a big thing during lockdown, and it's certainly something that I have found since we've been in lockdown, is boredom. Now, boredom is something that outside of lockdown I never ever feel. But because we can't do the things, we're normally busy with clubs, with going to school every day, with going out at the weekend, maybe exercising. We're normally super busy with all those things, so we don't normally get time to get bored. But now it can be boring, and you do sometimes feel like you do the same thing every day. So there are loads and loads and loads of things that you can do to stop yourself being bored. For instance, all the lovely work we've been sending home, or doing the lessons on here. I know some of you struggle to get onto Teams to see the lessons, but the 4 of us are going to be putting loads and loads of work in to making their online lessons as absolutely fun and fantastic as we can. So please, please, please watch them and do the lessons, because you'll get something out of it as well. You'll be able to not be bored, and also learning, it can be fun, and you'll get to see our lovely faces and hear our lovely voices, and it helps you to have a routine. Now, coming out of routine can be a really hard thing during lockdown. So what you have to do is you have to make new routines. So for instance, in the first lockdown, I decided that I was going to start running. And every other day, I went out and I did a run. And I made it what I called a non-negotiable. I had to go and do it, whether it was raining, whether it was boiling hot, whether I didn't really feel like it, I had to go and do it. So that was my new routine. You could do the same. You could read a chapter of a book a day, or you could make sure that you did 1 walk around the house a day, or you could help your parents once a day. You could make an effort to play with your siblings once a day. There are loads of things that you could do to stop yourself from being bored. I know your parents would love it if you offered to help them with more things. So maybe you ask your mum or dad, can I help with dinner tonight? Or can you show me how to do this or how to do that? There are loads of things that you can do. Reading is an excellent way to get through lockdown. I've just got a massive delivery of new books from my friend because we've been a little bit of a book swap because we've both been reading much more during lockdown. So that's exciting for me. You might not find it as exciting, but I love to read. So I'm going to be reading more books. I'm going to carry on with my running. And that's another thing you can do. There are so many ways you can exercise without going out with friends and mixing with other people. And exercise is a really great way to make you feel good about yourself and give you a boost during the day. In class, we've been doing Joe Wicks every single day. And we've been getting hot and sweaty and getting our heart rates up, and it makes us feel good for the rest of the day then, because we can sit back and think we've done that today, tick, and we feel good because we've exercised and it's made us healthier. So that's another great thing that you can do. So help your parents, one thing you can do. Lots of lovely schoolwork, another thing you can do. Play with your sister or your brother. Exercise. Read a book. Art. Now, Lola would love it if you did lots of artwork. Again, you don't need a lot of equipment. Pieces of paper, pens and pencils, colouring pens. There's loads of things that you will have in your house that you can use to do different art projects. And if you've got a phone or access to the internet, there are loads of different things on YouTube that you can follow, tutorials that can show you how to draw certain things or how to make certain things. So that's another good way to stop yourself from being bored. I think I can't think of anything else, but there are hundreds of things that you can do. Hundreds and hundreds. Puzzle, play a board game. There's loads of things you can do. So don't allow yourself to kind of sit around and feel, ugh, because it's so easy to do. And if you do feel like that, that's absolutely fine. You are not any different to anyone else. Everyone has days, especially at the moment, where you just kind of feel, what's the point? Why bother? Just going to sit in my dressing gown all day in front of the telly and watch another film, eat some more food. I know, I've done it. But just a few extra bits, a few thoughts in your head about how you can turn that day into something positive, and I think it will make the world of difference. We're going to be on here. There's going to be someone here most days to do a live lesson, and then someone here most days to do a pre-recorded lesson like this one. And we would really love it if you could get as involved as you can. Get your mums and your dads to post videos of what you've been up to, and then we can all share it with the class when we go into school. And hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be back together as soon as we can. And I really can't wait. Now, the main people that will decide when we can get back together and back to school and get life back to normal are the government. I'm just going to take you through. Oh, wrong one. I'm going to take you through now. We all know this man, Boris Johnson. He is the leader of the government. And he makes all the decisions. Ultimately, he makes all the decisions about what happens and when with regard to lockdown and the coronavirus. And basically, it's his job to make sure that in this country we fight the coronavirus as best we can so that we can get back to a normal way of life. So that is Boris Johnson. Now, another person that you might see if you watch the news is this guy, Matt Hancock, and he's the health secretary. Very smiley. Now he is in charge of the way that our country deals with the actual medical points of the pandemic and of the coronavirus. You can see he's got a pin there that says NHS, and that's because he's in charge of the National Health Service. So it's his job to make sure that all the hospitals can cope. It's his job to make sure that all the doctor surgeries can get the vaccines out to as many people as quickly as possible. And so he's got a super important job to do with the coronavirus. Another man you might see in the news is this guy here. He's Gavin Williamson, and he is the Education Secretary. And he decides when we can come back to school. And who can go to school at the moment? He decides that. He decides how the teachers, what we can deliver to the people on home learning. He decides lots of things to do with school. So he's basically in charge of everything that happens with the schools in the country. And then finally, another man that you might have seen in the news more so at the beginning of the pandemic is this guy, Rishi Sunak, and he is the Chancellor of the Exchequer. And what that means is he's in charge of the country's money. So he will be looking after all the people whose businesses have suffered, like the restaurants and the pubs and the shops that have all had to close because of the pandemic and because of coronavirus. He will make sure that they can all survive on the money that they have, and he is in charge of making sure that all the children have enough food to eat, all the parents have enough money in their pockets to live correctly. So those are the four main people that you might see on the news. So we've got, just recap, we've got Boris Johnson, Matt Hancock, who's in charge of the NHS, Gavin Williamson, who's in charge of the schools, and Rishi Sunak, who's in charge of the money. So they're the four main members of the cabinet that are dealing with the coronavirus as we speak. Now, one last thing I want to say before I head off is that if you're feeling really rubbish, and believe me, there are lots and lots of people that feel rubbish, I feel that it's really unfair that you can't see your friends and family, and you can't go to the bowling, and you can't go to the shops, and you basically have to stay in all the time. You're perfectly normal in feeling very down about that and feeling like you're depressed and feeling like, what's the point? And feeling meh. That's perfectly fine. The best thing you can do in that situation is, if you're feeling like that, is to talk to somebody, either your brother or sister, or especially your parents, and let them know how that you're feeling a bit rubbish. Hopefully they'll be able to cheer you up, they'll be able to give you something to do to occupy yourself. And the best thing is to just talk to somebody, because you don't want to be feeling like that and feeling like you're on your own as well, because you're not, because ultimately you've always got us as well. So make sure you talk to somebody, number one. Make sure you eat well. And when I say eat well, I don't mean eat lots. I mean eat well. Eat things that are good for you. Drink lots of water. Eat your vegetables. Eat things that are good for you, because it makes you feel good. And I'm sure you're going to disagree with me, and you'll be going, no, it doesn't. I hate vegetables. It makes you feel good in yourself. And the third thing, and it's really important, even though you're not having to get up for school, and even though you're not having to get up for other things during the week, make sure that you get a good night's sleep. Because again, sleeping well makes you feel good. Good night's sleep, good food, exercise, make you feel great. Drink lots of water, another thing that makes you feel good. And all those things together help you to feel better about the situation, and it gives you a good start in the day. And then anything else rubbish that happens, you'll feel better at coping with it, because you've got all those good things that have already happened that day. But make sure you get sleep. Don't stay up till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning playing Minecraft and chatting with your friends. because that isn't going to help. Good sleep, then your mood improves. So anyway, that's what I'm going to say. No lectures. Look after yourselves, and we'll see you real soon. Bye.